Hello. Hold on, I gotta
Hi, it's
mute
just us.
my it's just us?
I
Hold
think
on, I
so.
gotta mute my oh freak. What am I doing? Sorry, well I'm glad it was just us because I needed to take care of that sound
there's
little
Shalima.
issue. Hi Shalima. Oh, she's so good. She always shows up for the beginning of our lives and she's always here and I really appreciate her. She's a very, very good friend and coming in and watching.
Yes.
So we can give it a few minutes before we get started so we're not repeating ourselves. Let's see, where are we at? I can't even see. Okay.
We're going to be very
happy
informal
Tuesday.
today.
Yes, today is definitely an informal live. We're going to be discussing what we, something that we find, troublesome, but also like very fascinating how people don't, or maybe everybody does see it the same way as us, but nobody calls anybody out on it or really talks about it. Let me open up.
Hey, Punky.
Hey, Punky. Hey, Lana. Oh, yeah. So I think we can talk about boundaries in general, of course, which I think this will definitely segue into, because they're really, even myself, Lana, I have said to Hope and the last few days, probably, I don't know if I'm just trying to convince myself or I just have to say it out loud, about boundaries and what I am going to participate in and not, and what am I going to allow myself to get upset over, because she's very good at that, at managing that, and I am not. And I'm noticing something about me the last few months, I guess, maybe, that I never thought I was an easily triggered person, because I'm really not, except when it comes to certain things. Maybe we all have certain buttons, but lying is one of them.
As I'm getting older, I'm more easily triggered by things.
Is that what it is?
I feel like in my case, I think it is.
Yeah, maybe we're less patient and we're less or maybe we're more mature, that we see things a certain way and we just don't understand why everybody else doesn't. I don't know. It's just,
I think we're more self-aware and self-confident.
Self-aware, that's a better.
When you're younger, you don't want to get involved, and as you mature, you kind of stand up.
Or you don't want to get, I think we don't want to get involved in necessarily YouTube, we'll use YouTube as an example, the dramatics of it all, but you still, at least for me, I still want to correct lies and misunderstandings and just the obvious things, and it's just frustrating. But as far as I know what we're going to really try to keep on task, which I know it's hard because I know YouTube has been a hot mess the last week, I guess. I don't even know if it's been a week. It might be 4 days. I don't know. It feels like a month. Hope had brought this to my attention a while back, and it of course resonated, and I was like, you're so right, when she had said it about when creators or just people in general are on panels. This seems to happen, it starts on a panel and they start to want to argue with their opposition, whatever that may be, or the opposing side. And, Dutch has spoken out on this too quite a bit about the name calling and shaming, the shaming based on either finances, past, indiscretions. There's certain things I think that are worth discussing, and there's certain things that should never be discussed. And of course, health, mental health, and addiction, and how that housing, thank you, that's another big one, where people live, jobs, careers, and it seems like they don't recognize, and I think you hit the nail on the head when you said self-aware, because not only could you be affecting the person that may even be on the panel with you by choosing to mock people over these things, but there is almost a guarantee that somebody in that chat is being affected. And these are the people that support, sub to you, buy your memberships, give you donations. Okay, I'm sorry. I know I'm talking too much. I'll mute. Plus, I got to, deal with the tornado.
No, you're fine. So what kind of brought this to my attention was, so I've spoke pretty openly about that I have lupus and I am on disability. And for people that aren't on disability, I know that people from the outside can look in and go, wow, you've got the life. You don't have to work. You sit at home every day. I wish I could do that. I wish I didn't have to work. And then on this side, I mean, I am in my 40s. I planned on working till retirement age and having a career until then. And I've worked 20 years very hard in the nursing field. And now I'm home and I struggle with that. I don't, I'm kind of at a point of trying to find my purpose. And so there was a live that happened where, the whole protected class crap came up, which I don't agree with, and I'm not getting into that. But somebody on panel started talking about disability and said something about their home reaping the benefits of us working. And it hit me. I mean, I was literally crying. I was messaging Audie and I'm like, this is so upsetting to me because I fight the guilt of not being a productive member of society anymore. And then I hear people on this panel agreeing and saying that they're paying for me and that I'm reaping the benefit of them working. And it's very hurtful. And then that kind of applies across the board too. When they start shaming weight, looks, housing, who you live with, if you're living with your parents, if you're living alone, any past addictions that you've had, just a multitude of things that they use to attack each other that they don't understand how they're affecting their subs. That really turns me off to creators when they're saying this stuff and you're hurting your subs and you don't even care.
Yep. And I think that you brought something to my attention, like literally when we were having, like right in the moment of that conversation, because, it's very easy when you're not personally experiencing something to judge it. Right. And it's also, I think, when you're not experiencing it, to be far removed from it. And even in the moment say like, well, no, like I did that to you. I totally recognize now, like during our conversation, I was kind of like negating your feelings because I'm like, no, but that doesn't apply to you. You know what I mean? Like I said that to you. I'm like, that's not what it means. Like that, you're different. But it doesn't take away from your feelings in that moment. And I definitely recognize now, like how I could probably make you feel in that, because I was like, no. That's a different, like trying to justify it basically is what I was doing. Because I'm certainly not innocent. I have definitely said things I regret about people, but that is one thing I really work hard to not do, especially on just in life in general, of course, real life, I think it's probably easier, but on social media there is so much bullshit that happens that we can attack one another for on the actual platform. Like, and I'm talking about behaviors and, maybe beliefs if you want to debate. I'm not saying attack, but debate different beliefs. Like there is so much there that we could really steer away from the looks, like you said, and the weight shaming and the financial shaming and all that other stuff. People have circumstances that are outside of their control. A lot of those things are outside of somebody's control. If you don't like the way somebody looks, do you think that they're like purposely trying to make themselves look a certain way to like, it's very hurtful.
Yeah.
Yes, Heather, you're right. And it is an easy dig. It's an easy, absolutely. When somebody can't hold like a well worded or informed debate or conversation, or if you want to have like a good discourse about something, of course they're going to resort to the insults that are really hurtful, but they're really simple. It's like, what do they call that? Low-hanging fruit?
Yeah. And I don't think people understand the feelings of people on disability. Like we want nothing more than to be you, to be the normal person getting up, going to work every day. You know, we're not sitting at home bathing in the pool every day, shopping and living it up. Like, we're
Of course. And I
struggling
think there's
financially,
exceptions. Yes.
everything.
Yes, and there's exceptions to
Yeah.
every rule, right? There's people that just go about things the wrong way and abuse the system and take advantage and all that kind of stuff. But I think the majority, it's very legitimate, and I really think we need to remember, just like you said before, that the people in your chat, when you are a creator, and you are a creator that's monetized, okay, that you're collecting super chats, donations, memberships, and you are slinging insults that are not that are certainly not specific, you are definitely hurting, you know, the people that are supporting you.
Yeah. And even, you know, me and Audie, you know, we're friends, very good friends with someone who lives with her parent because she's taking care of the parent. So, like, I hear so frequently people on here trying to take jabs at people because they're adults and live with their parents. You don't know the reason those people are living with their parents. And even if it is a financial hardship, lots of people go through that. When I got divorced, I lived with my parents for a short time. Like, that is not something to dig at. And another thing is, there's one certain creator who I can't stand anyway, but she uses someone that used to be an addiction. She talks about, if I was your mother, you would have never been an addict because I would have done this and I would have been a good mother. And do you know how hurtful that is to anybody in your chat that is a mother to someone that's
absolutely
an addict?
Absolutely. That is so incredibly cruel. And
Trashy.
It's Trashy. It's so good to see you. It's very, very hurtful. Listen, I have lived with my parents on and off, or I did. I mean, obviously now, you know, whatever, with my son. You know, and I had a good career, you know, but there was times that I just couldn't do it. And for whatever reason, you know, and I would, you know what, thinking back, if the opportunity presented itself, I would probably move back in with my dad right now. I mean, who wouldn't want to, you know?
Yeah.
And it's nothing to be ashamed of by any means, but like the amount of shaming that happens, especially I see that come up a lot. I mean, I think the addiction, I think the biggest, outside of calling somebody fat, okay, because that of course like is, I mean, every day we see that, but like the addiction shaming is a biggie. That is a biggie. And shaming somebody because of their, like, shaming the parent of somebody that's struggling with addiction or is an active addiction, and saying that you would have done it better, or you would have, that would never be your circumstance, is so incredibly dangerous. Because let me tell you something. I say this all the time. I've said it to my son, who's 12 years old. We are one bad decision away from being in the worst position in our life. Any of us.
Yes.
We are one bad decision away from that. We are one misstep away from something really terrible potentially happening. So and I think Bartender had said it earlier in the chat about humbling yourself and just remembering that, you know, that we are, that any of us could be in a really shitty circumstance. Any of us. Yep. Nobody's immune to that.
Yeah,
but, you know,
you
again,
never know what the next day brings, and you may find yourself in that position. And the creator that has said that about being the mother of an addict has said it numerous times, and every time I hear it, my blood just boils, because
yes, I know you've pointed that out to me before.
This parent is already ridden with so many emotions, and to put that on them, that it's their fault, and that's because that's a big fear of mine. Like, my kids have all been through very traumatic events, and one of my biggest fears is that they will turn to substances. And I've tried my best to teach them and guide them, but it can still happen. It doesn't, and to think that if that happened, people could shame me for the decisions they make. It's just, I don't understand it. Oh, Heather, you can come up. Audie, I can't.
Oh, yes,
share the
I'm
link, but
sorry.
Audie can.
Yes, I'll drop the link. I apologize, guys. I meant to do that right away, too. Also, to keep it, another thing that I'm going to use this because it's been shared publicly before, but I think it's a really good example. This was done to bartender, where somebody purposely streamed about a very intimate family situation. I just don't want to go into too much details, but it was done with intent to shame. It wasn't like an awareness stream or something. It was done with intent to shame. And that's a really good example of weaponizing people's hardships and people's personal tragedies or life circumstances to try to. Does anybody think that makes the other person look better? I mean, does anybody go, oh, you know what? Great point. I mean, like, really? Yeah. Like, how could you then go, you know what? I really think they're hitting home with me. They're sending a great message, and I identify with that, and I'm going to throw all my support their way. I mean, come on. I'll pin that link. I just have to pop into the YouTube side. Bear with me.
It's just really infuriating. And I understand getting caught up in emotions, and you're angry, and people are flinging insults. But my God, think about how you would feel. I mean, I have always been a follower of the golden rule. I want to treat other people like I want to be treated. And when I worked hospice, I did that. I treated every patient like they were my family member, because, that's how I went into the situation, is if this is my family member, how would I want them to be treated? And that's what I do. And I don't understand going so low on people. I will never understand it. I don't think I've ever been angry enough to say some of the things that I've heard. Hey, Weenie. Kaiser.
Hey, Weenie. Hold on. Hey, NorCal. Hey, Kaiser. Hold on. I'm going to try this from, I know why I couldn't pin it now, because I was in the wrong account. Okay.
Heather's backstage, she said.
Okay. Give me a sec. I'm in YouTube, so bear with me.
We're still learning all this, Heather. Sorry.
Yes. Why? And plus, I'm on that damn Chromebook.
Audie's still learning. I haven't learned anything.
I know. What I'm going to just keep doing is posting the link, because I can't. I'll keep trying to pin it. I promise. Oh, Heather. Hey. Okay. Welcome.
Hi, Heather. You better not have a peen.
Oh, I should have put up our banner. There. Did I do something to you? Oh, Heather, I'm going to. Heather, if you come out here with a ween, you're going to be getting a visit. God, I'm terrified at the moment. No, I don't think we're at the top of the teen bombing registry, but who knows? Heather, go out and come back in. We can't hear you. I'm going to remove you, and I'm going to add you back. Remove, add. Oops, add. Okay. Oh, she left. She'll come back. Okay. So I know that was like the most, I was like, oh gosh, we've already lost one video because I probably shared something I shouldn't with sound. I think it was news. It was probably from the news. I forget. It was like NBC or something that struck us. It was like not a person. It was like an entity. We're almost to 100 subs. I think did we hit it yet? We're getting close. I have to look.
Oh, I hope so
we're at
because we can
95.
change.
Yeah.
We can change our what the heck, our link to actually have our name in it once we get to 100.
Oh, we can?
Yes.
Okay. Heather, are you there?
Heather, hello.
Well, we can wait for Heather, but she's not. Her bubble isn't moving, so I know it's something. It's not saying audio is not connected or anything. I'm not getting any alerts like that, but
it's been a while since she's been on panel. Maybe she's forgotten.
Yeah, she's got to work out her kinks. Her kinks. Haha. Okay, I know. Okay, let me see if I can do this though while we're dealing with that.
But you know, I talked about last time, well, maybe not last time, I don't know when it was, but having trouble getting behind and supporting creators financially because you never know what the next day is going to turn up because people are going so low. And I wish creators would stop and think about the insults that they're slinging and how they affect their subs. Because I'm telling you, I used to cry really easily. I don't anymore. But that day I was in tears. It really hit me hard. And that's probably sounds stupid to y'all, but it's something that I struggle with daily anyway. And to see it on panel, see people in the chat agreeing and hear it really hit me hard. And I'm sure that it's that way for people that have addiction, people that are living with their parents, people that are overweight. I mean, all of these things, mental health issues, like you need to think who you're affecting because it's not just the person that you're slinging that at.
Absolutely. And I think that you hit the nail on the head when you said about who you're like to really take into consideration who you're going to support financially, because like you said, moment to moment, that person's can change. I mean, the whole reason you support them could change the next time they go live or something. And then you're looking like somebody that supports those types of behaviors. You there, girl?
Can y'all hear me now?
Yes. Yay.
All right. I don't know why my laptop was being an absolute asshole about it, but it was not letting me.
We miss you guys. I love hearing your voice. It's been so long.
Yes.
It has. It's been a hot, long minute, hasn't it?
Yes.
Okay, well, this topic is a really strong one in my life. I love it and hate it at the same time.
Yeah, I bet.
I've been on both ends of it, kind of. I will admit that I have been a shit slinger as well as a receiver of that as well. And from what I experienced with it, this topic is not really about people that legitimately don't like disabled people or don't like different things. It's a win. They're looking to win something. And
right.
even if it makes them look like a total absolute asshole to win, that's all they want is the attention and the end game result of winning. Yeah. And if they can make you feel lesser about yourself, then they've won. They don't care that. And in a different reality or a different situation, those same people would probably be your friend and help you if they could. But in that situation and in that moment, they're looking to win a problem. They're looking to win a fight with you. Right. That's why they sling this shit they sling. With me, I guess because I've already gotten to the point where I've slung enough of it myself and I've grabbed a hold of enough of myself. I look at it as just that. They're looking to win this fight. They don't know enough about my situation to make a legitimate, educated insult or comment about it. And I don't give them the ability to garner that attention or that yay I've won type feeling. Most
Yeah.
of the bullshit when they sling it, they're like, yay, I am disabled. Fuck right, you right, dude. I'm a crippled piece of worthless nothing. Yeah. Hell yeah. That's what I'm doing. I'm sitting in this bed. I ain't doing shit. I ain't gonna do shit today. Ain't gonna do shit tomorrow. Where does it go for them then? Like what do they gain from it if you if you
Go
understand
along. Yeah.
right, if you understand the reason why they're there and you go along with it and you don't give them a ouch, they've got nothing to grab onto and continue with.
Yeah.
It's just different for different people because some are. Well, let me back up. Then you've got to deal with the sensitiveness of the one receiving it, like the ones that are disabled. How long have they been in that situation and received those kind of comments from people to the point that it's just like, okay, whatever, get this out of your system, go on. Carry on with your life. Go on down the street to somebody else's garbage can. Leave me alone, and I'll do what I got to do.
Right.
So a lot of it is really not so much getting those people to stop the insults as it is for me strengthening up the ones that are disabled and the ones that are receiving flack. That's just where I'm at. Of course, everyone's going to feel differently about it. But that's just where I sit, is if you can't make those with the insults stop, you can at least strengthen up the wall that receives them.
Yeah. And I think a lot of that is I haven't been on disability that long, so it's still pretty fresh with me, and I'm adjusting to the stigma around it. And but I do know what you're saying, because there's been a lot of times that things have happened, like, for example, somebody says, oh, your aunt died, you weren't that close to your aunt, why are you upset? And then there's a whole stream about sad fishing because somebody said that, and I'm telling Audie, I'm like, why do you care what these strangers think? You know what your relationship was, so why are you responding?
Absolutely. Yep. And that's also what happened. Oh, I'm sorry, Heather.
That's okay. They're looking for a fight because they know that you don't know who they are. They don't know who you are. So it has nothing to do with your actual aunt or your actual feelings about it. They're bored and they're looking for a fight.
Yeah.
That's all it is.
And people learn your triggers, and
right. Y'all are talking to a disabled troll. So I know both sides of the game. I mean, I like
absolutely. Yeah. But don't you think there's like, I think that trolling can be like entertaining, right? Like there's a healthy way to troll. Just like I always say about drama, like there's a healthy, well, maybe not healthy is not the right word, but like we've said that before, like diet drama or drama light. Like there's a way to do drama and commentary and clip channels and all that stuff and show like somebody's shitty behavior on YouTube. You can absolutely do that the right way without, and again, this is a whole nother topic, but it does relate to boundaries, without attacking somebody's real life circumstances or going into their real life to try to like destroy them because once again, they said something you didn't like on the internet. Like,
see, if you
it always comes down to that.
Right. If you get a clip, because I don't know anything about these clip channels, I ain't paid that much attention to it. But if you get a clip and you're going to post it somewhere, then you need to maintain your clip to be about said clip, and don't venture into the whoever's inside of that clip.
Yes.
If it was involved in that clip, do not involve it in that clip.
Absolutely. So clip channels are for a reason. They're for clips, but you have to still remain like you have to remain impartial to a certain degree in order to like to hold any like weight or credibility. Which there are some like big clip channels that do like based on like reality TV and current events and news things and do a really good job about it. Now, obviously within like a drama, true crime community that are smaller, there's going to be some personal biases. this. It's too small to not have them. But you know, but you hit the nail on the head. You have to stay out of the dirty details. Like if you're going to just show something, show it. But again, the problem is, of course,
remove the humor. Right, but I'm all about humor. So if you're taking something that's supposed to have something funny in it, then there is so much you can get about that funny moment in it, instead of posting a clip about someone that pissed their pants. Now all of a sudden you're talking about they've lost their job and now they're,
Yes.
homeless. That had nothing to do with the clip. Why are you including that?
Absolutely.
Because now, so
absolutely.
It's completely weird.
Yes.
Yeah, and that's boundaries. I mean, there's a way to do it, and there's a way to just be a terrible human being. And oops.
Anyone that takes a clip and cannot maintain the integrity of that clip, whether it be the funny part, the mean part, the shitty part, the bad part, if they've got to go outside that clip, they're not a YouTuber. They're not a creator. They're not
right.
They're not good enough for it. They need to find a different job. They need to find a different hobby. If they can't do it the right way, then they just need to kind of go, well, I tried. I give up. I'm going to find something else I can do. There's something for everyone, and clip channels are not for them if that's the case.
Yeah.
Be it clip channels that we're talking about. If you just aren't good at something, you've just got to kind of give it up. Find something. There's something for everyone.
There sure is. YouTube is a big place, like a really big place, and there's a lot of different. Oops, sorry guys.
That's all right. I love
and I think it's a hard place whenever you're like our community, this trauma community, whatever you want to call it. It's a bad place because it's like we are true crime minded, so we know how to dig, we know how to get all this info on people, but then you mix that with drama and you have that true crime aspect, but you're going in on the people in the drama setting. So
right.
I've noticed in the actual drama community, they don't do a lot of this, or they frown upon all this real life crap. But over here, it's like become normal. And I hate to say that, but it has.
Right. I skip around in different communities now that, I'm doing other stuff on another channel, but it has nothing to do with really any community period other than selling horses. If anybody decides they want to buy a horse, hit me up. Let me know. I mean, that's just it. But it's, and the chick that I work for doing that has got a hate group. You would, of all things, you would be surprised, but there's a group of over 2,000 people on a Facebook group that absolutely hate her guts because she sells horses. And it's a group of activists that every animal, deserves a place, and they do and they don't. They do and they don't. It's neither here nor there for me. I'm from the livestock world where I have my own opinion on it. Others have their opinion. And it also comes down to that, the vast amount of opinions that don't match. I mean, you and I can think almost exactly the same about something, but our opinions are going to differ slightly. So you've got millions of people with just a slight difference in opinion still trying to shove their full opinion on something.
Yes, it's like their opinion is the right opinion. And here's where we get into like where the fighting and the infighting and all that stuff is like, what is wrong? Yes, I respect that. Like, I love when people have opinions and then we can discuss them and we can end that discussion with, I agree to disagree, But the problem is when you resort to like, okay, the sky is blue, you say it's green, you're a fat bee who collects welfare and lives with their grandpa and doesn't have their kids. That's when it goes, then it's like, oh my God, you've just lost the argument.
Right. Like, for example, with the sky thing, the sky might be blue for you up north, and it might be a little bit greeny gray down here where I live. And legit, at that moment, we're both right. But it doesn't mean we need to fight about it. You see what I'm saying? Just because we could be very much just right, but the finite little tiny parts of that opinion that differ doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
You see,
And I may be
people are willing to make it matter, and it just doesn't matter.
and I may be colorblind, and the
Right.
sky may be blue, but that's not what I see. So
Right.
yeah, it's I don't know.
But those that want to argue, I feel like I honestly feel bad for them not having absolutely anything else in life to put their energy into. That
Right.
is all they've got, is to sit and argue with you, whether they're wrong, right, indifferent, or whatever. The only thing they've got to put their energy into is sit down and argue with you. They don't know
Exactly.
you, they don't want to speak with you again. It don't matter to them. They're there for the fight.
Well, that's it. Exactly. They're there for the fight. And there's people that just, no matter what, that is their purpose. They live for it. They love it. They're like those, we've used the term before, energy vampires. They're the chaos cravers. They're the people that need that in their lives, whether they're fighting about, horses, or they're fighting about, something that they've witnessed within like a YouTube community, or they're fighting about the price of gas. I mean, it's that constant need for chaos. And,
Right.
and
So,
where do you draw the line, right?
Right. For example, with the horse thing. So late yesterday evening, a boss lady, she's doing a video of the horses they are loading up onto a trailer, and one runs over her and hurts her bad and puts her in the hospital last night. Couple breaks, couple, injuries. The hate group that she's got are just like, karma, she deserved it. It's all her fault. That horse did nothing to her. It's all her fault. Like, you're just here for the fight. Why? Why do you have to be here for the fight? Why not just ignore it, let it go, and I don't know. If you've got kids, go read them a bedtime story and leave the injuries alone. Why? Just why?
Yeah.
Just why
I mean,
not?
I have-
leave people alone? They're already hurting.
I agree,
Oh,
Mo. Yeah, and that comes down to like that whole entire drama community. But when, like I think like a good example was like what Heather just said. Like you could be talking about horses and somebody's going to turn it into, oh, well, she deserved what she experienced. And then that turns into, yeah, she's a terrible person. And then here we go again. It's like a whole, she becomes a shit show. That's exactly what happens. And, kind of going back to originally what we were talking about was that like when we're even us up here now, like we could say anything and we don't know what we're saying, how that's impacting the chat or people that watch it on the replay. And, do you want to, are you confident enough to sit on your panels and, degrade and bash and tear apart people for circumstances or looks or finances or whatever, and know that those subscribers and those viewers, because these are, I mean, we see it happen. It can happen like in a channel like this where there's 10 people or 5 people watching, but it can happen when there's 1,000 people watching. And are you confident enough?
It's legit in every community. We're just in
sure is
trauma community where it's drama. It's in everywhere. I guess that's why I bring up the horse situation, because I'll give you a little bit of a backfill. The lady that I do the stuff for, that I work for, she's married to a man that buys livestock. We'll just go with livestock because he buys all different kinds: cows, horses, goats, chickens, whatever he buys them for to go to be food. But his wife, a little bit of a tree hugger that she is, has decided, hello, these horses don't deserve to go be eaten anywhere. So I'm going to pull them out of the field and offer them to a new home. That's her goal. Find these horses a new home, resell them to the public so that they don't go to Mexico or to Canada, where, of course, there is a fatal end. So that's her goal, is to keep these horses from going and having that ending destination. But these people are all, they don't really go to Mexico. Then there's another like 5 or 6 of, yes, they do. All they want to do is kill the horses. And then there's some that they just buy those horses and spend thousands of dollars on them, and they put them out in a pen and starve them to death and let them die. We know that's not feasible. Who wants to, like legit, who spends that much money on an object just to destroy it and lose some money out of it, a business, right? Nobody does that. But there's this group over there that's got, like, say, 2,000 people, and every one of them have an opinion. None of their opinions are the same. None of them are even remotely similar to each other. They just have hate in their heart for something they don't know all the truth about. That's another thing. They'll sit up, whine and moan and groan because the lady that sells the animals will not show them everything about her personal life. She doesn't owe it to them. People don't owe someone they don't know everything into their life. If you're disabled, you don't owe anybody anything. I don't care if you're living on welfare, if you're not. You don't owe anybody anything. One taxpayer don't.
Yeah, and you know what?
One monkey don't stop no show, right? So one taxpayer doesn't get to say whether he gets to know things or not.
And this has become like a trend where it's like people now, because of things like the like we can use people's like mental health or even their physical health. Now we're in this weird realm where people are taking to social media to prove, like, they feel so compelled because either they're so hurt by like accusations or by what's been said or what's said on panels, that now they feel compelled to take it, all their personal information, and dump it onto a place like YouTube to prove a point. And it's like, you don't need to do that. Like, you don't have to convince who cares? Like, we do not have to convince the people that don't like you. You could do, I had this revelation. I mean, I knew this all along, but I had said it out loud the other day. When somebody doesn't like you, or you don't like somebody, it really doesn't matter what anybody else is going to say. It could be so blatantly obvious, and the truth could be plastered on the billboards up and down the highway, and it is not going to change your what do they call it? Like your bias, your preconceived notions, whatever. You are not going to convince anybody of anything. So
100%.
Why put yourself through that? Like, why put yourself through like that? Now you're just opening Pandora's box. Now you're putting your medical out, your mental health information out, your financial information out. Like, it's just enough.
People don't realize though. If you're one of those that's sitting there going, you know what? I'll prove it. I'll prove that I'm right and you're wrong. And so you dump all of that out there. It is not doing a damn thing but giving them more shit to dig through, and them to rehash, remold, and redistribute the way they want it to look like.
Yep.
All you've done is give them the information. You've given them the content to create the way they want it to look.
Yep.
And you've made life far worse for yourself.
They will pick that apart. They will alter it. They will.
Yes.
Yeah, it's just feeding the fire. It really is.
Exactly.
Like Mo and Lana down here have said, taking a step back makes you look at things far clearer. Oh my God, yes. Y'all. I haven't been like in the chats or on panels in the last 4, 5, 6 months, however long it's been. But I've watched. I have been one of the numbers on the screen where it shows, viewers. I've been one of those. So I've kind of watched, and it has really brought my head around to what is less real. It's completely what is less real and not what is more real. It is far about more what is more less real. Whenever you're just sitting back watching it, you're going, oh, well, that's a bunch of bullshit.
Yeah.
Why is that even going on the way it was? But if I were on the panel, it would have been far different. it had been more involvement, and I would have not been able to kind of see it from 3 feet back or 6 feet back, 6 months back.
Well, Lana, you can learn how to knit, but I actually ventured over to the crochet world just to kind of look, and they were actually fighting over a pattern because somebody crocheted a blanket with the same pattern as another person. So they stole their creativity, and this was a big battle. Like, it's everywhere, and it's insane. Now, I didn't see people like doxing each other and all that crap, but they were definitely
Oh, they'll
fighting.
be fighting. Oh yeah, they'll be fighting. I mean, it's in the gardening community, the knitting, like you said.
Hey, Chloe.
You know what? I've seen a community that's not too. I mean, I don't know. I didn't hang out there maybe long enough. But like, if you enjoy books or audiobooks, there's like quite the community for like book discussions and stuff. Of course, there's some disagreements among maybe the context or what the purpose of the story is or the plot or whatever. But it is kind of a nicer community to be in.
So let me tell y'all about something I did during my away from YouTube a little bit. So when I started helping this girl out with her channel and website and her Facebook, first off, Facebook monetization pays far better than YouTube, in case anybody wants to know that. Anyway,
Oh, really?
Oh my God, yes. So what I did, I went over, and of course I wasn't done trolling yet because I was still a YouTube troll. I wasn't too far out of the YouTube streets. I just made a Facebook group chat and threw everyone in that hate group into that group chat. Like, look, what's your problem? What is your issue? Can we square it away, fix it right now, whatever? And do you know that 75% of them stupid fuckers had their idea and their excuse for being there was, don't take my drama away. I don't watch TV all day. This is all I do.
Yeah.
That was all they wanted to do, was watch the drama that happened between the 30 or 40 most common commenters, most active people in the hate group, that they wanted to watch the disagreement between them and the girl that I worked for. That's all they wanted.
It's reality TV. It's
Right.
literally reality TV, or like it's like a modern day soap opera, you know? And
But without
could
acknowledgement that it's real people.
yes, it's actually real people, and real people are affected. There is like, yes, there are some people that can just let it roll off their back, and they like either, or they just don't get overly involved, but there is always there is without a doubt somebody that's either taking things very personal, or it is definitely affecting their real lives, especially if somebody's going into their real lives. Hope, you made such a good point before, and I think I was dealing with CJ, so I had stepped away, about the oh shit, it just left my brain. About the hold on, it'll come back to me. Damn it, I just was going to say it. What is wrong with me? I was just going to say it and it left my brain.
Wicked Weenie remembers it. I think I told him about it in Discord, because like I said, it wasn't very far out of me leaving the YouTube streets. I'm like, I just threw all them son bitches in a group chat. Like, look, what is your deal? What is you mad about? Let's fix it right here, right now. And very few of them had an actual problem with the girl. About 75% of them were there just to watch her have the problem. I mean, so it's not much different than the YouTube streets. These people have called CPS on this girl. I mean, it is that kind of situation. It's just like over here.
Wow.
And the accusation, or the report that went to CPS was, y'all hear me out, it's gonna make some of y'all mad, because it was ridiculous that she left her daughter in the care of a known lesbian.
Oh my God.
Yeah,
Unbelievable.
that was
Unbelievable.
The exact wordage. Now, who does that?
What a nut. You know, I remember now, came back to me. Your point was about the true crime community blending in with the drama community. I think that's what results in Krama, and where you see, like, in the very distinct drama community, and the very distinct true crime community, you don't see all the real life digging and stuff. But when you combine this, when people come from both and combined, the true crime brain gets overly invested in the drama, and that's when the digging and the the having to get the answer and having to get a closure or a solution or whatever becomes so dangerous, because it is really you're messing in people's lives. And yes, we need the CPS has definitely become a weapon, and we've seen that it's not just the people that I know too. Like, that's obviously, we know that happens. It's definitely happened in other places. The CPS and people's
but people
jobs.
can be anonymous, right? You can use CPS, or you
Sure.
can. People do use CPS because you can be anonymous and it be like an invisible weapon. You nobody knows that you're the one that pulled the trigger on that CPS call. No one knows that you're the anonymous that did it. And you can do it all day long to whoever you want to for shits, giggles, or whatever your idiot mind feels like the need to do, whether it's needed or not. A lot of people that do it often are those that don't give a shit about resources. They don't care, which is the problem. When you can do that and not think, is this legit or not? I don't care that if they can take away the part of, I don't like the victim in my crime, instead, and think about, the people that are going to have to be dealing with this, their care needs to be, because they've got two players there. CPS is uninvolved until the caller involves them.
Yeah.
And now CPS is involved and don't need to be. They don't have a part in it.
And ultimately, they're hurting the child.
Yeah.
You're not hurting that parent. You are hurting the child, because that child is going to be approached sometimes before the parent even knows CPS is involved. They will go to school and speak to these kids, and you don't have an opportunity to prepare them for why it's happening. They get called out of class to the office and then have to explain to their friends why they got called out. It's confusing to them. It's scary for them. And
let people start having to put their real names on those reports, and a bunch of
there's definitely some courage from anonymity, right? So that's why YouTube, people with handles, we have handles on YouTube, we have YouTube names, whatever you want to call them, because people will say and do things they would never do in real life because they're protected, or they have courage from the anonymity of it. And it's just it's really just a twisted thinking. And I understand being so angry about something somebody said, but I cannot understand. It's so far from my reality of ever thinking, I'm going to find out where this person lives, find out everything about them, pick up the phone, find their local, child protective service agency, call it, make up some cockamamie story just because why? What's going to happen in the end? Do you think you're going to get somebody's kids taken away? Is that what you want? What the fuck is wrong with you?
I'll even go as far as to this being my opinion only. Anyone that would call and feel that they need to use the anonymous, the anonymity of it, know they're wrong in the call. They know they're making a false report. If they can't leave, if they don't stand behind their accusation strong enough to leave their name, knowing their name is not going to be used anyway, unless the court deems it needs to be used, then they know they're wrong. They know that their accusation holds no water.
Yeah, that's a great point. What would be an interesting interview to do one day would just speak to somebody that works in, not about anything specific, but just somebody that works in social services and get their take on when these things happen, when you get frivolous calls, how it affects your workflow, how it affects your day, what it takes away from. Right. I feel like that exists already. That's out there. I'm sure. Yeah, that might be really interesting to because it happens. Have a great day, Weenie. It happens in CPS. It also happens, which doesn't get a lot of coverage, but it is a real thing in APS. So in adult protective services as well, where people can weaponize that. So, I mean, we have people calling people's social security offices about their Medicaid, about their benefits, about, there's a lot of government agencies that are weaponized just in general. And it's really, really, really sick. Hey, Joe.
Well, I've had APS, which is the same thing as CPS, just adult
Yes.
version. I've had APS called on me 4 times for no reason other than the person was mad at me. It was a personal conflict and not for example, the first lady that came here showed up surprising on my door, knocked on the door, came in and thought that I was my sister was myself, because the accusation was that Heather is physically and verbally abusive to her sister. Now, how can a bedbound bitch be physically abusive, right? So the lady is looking at me, and we have to take our driver's license out to prove that the one that the accusation says is physically abusive is the one in the bed and can't get up. So it's the APS gets a lot of bullshit calls too.
Yes.
I'm
Definitely.
just imagining APS coming to your house and being like, Heather, we're going to take away your internet now.
Oh, yeah.
You're getting too feisty on the interwebs.
APS will take you out of the home if they fear that, like, if they were to come here
Oh, for sure.
think that my sister was being abusive, they would remove me from the home right then, whether I wanted to go or not.
Mm-hmm. I mean, there's I don't care who you are on this world of the internet and Facebook, I feel like, and TikTok. This applies to any social media platform, and I guess Instagram, that you can live stream from and engage with people in a chat or on a panel. I don't care how intuitive somebody is. I don't care what their background is. There is no way anybody has enough information to make a well-informed decision about contacting any sort of protective agency. There is no way, unless you're seeing, and I mean seeing it active in real time, or I guess it could be a video of somebody hurting somebody else or a child. You cannot make a decision what's happening in my house right now based on this live stream. You couldn't. Nobody could. I mean, they can hear my little one yelling in the background, whatever, but there's just no way. And it kind of goes to I'm sorry. Go ahead.
That's what used to upset me, even about whenever I was on the other creator. I'll say her name, it didn't bother me. Chrissy's panel. Whenever I was up on her panel, and then people were not liking her, then they didn't like her based on the things that she said, but they were judging her on things that they claimed were going on in her house. And even though her and I have a complete disagreement now, we're completely separate. It bothered me then, because I'm like, how do you know these things are going on in her home? So you see nothing other than what is in front of that little square camera that you're looking through. You see nothing but half the window, her face, and maybe a corner of a room. How do you know what's going on in the bathroom, the kitchen, the living room? You don't. But those were the things that were being said, was things were going on in her home that nobody had any ability to know.
Right. And me and Audie, of course, being nurses, we're both mandated reporters, and I have never had an inkling on YouTube to call CPS on anyone. And I've told Audie before, unless we saw somebody on camera with a frying pan beating their child, yes, but you do not know who else is in the home. You don't know who might be helping with that child. You have no idea what's going on.
Right. You don't know if there are children there that are single or absolutely by themselves, or if there is a nanny there, an aide there, a grandma there, an aunt there, a friend there. You don't know what is in the other room. There could be an entire other family that lives there with them that is taking care of said children. You don't know if you don't see them.
Right.
And because you can't see them doesn't mean that they're not there. That's that was also kind of a thing where we didn't see them, so they can't be there.
Yeah.
We've all seen some shit in these YouTube streets.
And children that might have developmental delays or issues or mental health issues that come into a room and say something that maybe our kids would never say, and somebody takes it the wrong way and goes with that. Like, you don't know what goes on in that home. The
Well,
few
they didn't know
minutes
that
that you
before. Right. Go ahead. Sorry.
No, you're fine. Just the few minutes that you hear on YouTube does not show you a picture of what is happening.
Right. You hear one sentence, not even the entire full sentence, and it not said really loud. How do you know what took place to garner that child having to produce that vocally? You know, how do you know what took place up to that point? You know.
Yeah.
So, and for a child that age, that size, it could be anything or anything and everything. I was a child that age one time, and I can think back now and remember a million events that I would have probably at that point said myself that time, not meaning it, but said it.
Yes.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, and there's people with children in their home. You might have just said this and I missed it, but with like certain disabilities, what may make them act out or yell or scream or holler, or maybe, you know, you might hear certain things in the background. How dare you take to your platform and be like, did anybody hear what was going on in the background of Audie's panel? Those poor kids. Like, oh,
Right.
It's disgusting. I hate it. Like, it infuriates me, but I also, at the same time, I'm really trying to make a conscious effort to not engage. Like, it's hard, but like, because Mo had said it earlier, like it is like fueling a fire. And when you have certain people that use their platform to, like, you know, call names and hurt people. And like I said, we know that it's not just affecting, you know, the person that you're calling out, it's affecting the people that are watching you as well, or they're making accusations or they're spinning stories or whatever the case may be. They'll eventually stop if people just stop contributing. But I understand, like, personally, there's times I want to comment, I want to contribute, I want to call out. But the reality is, maybe that is the solution. Not maybe. The solution is they will go away. And those people will stop that behavior if they're not being rewarded for it. Hey, Dutchie.
Right. So if someone makes an accusation at you and you don't answer, you don't engage, you don't even show them that you've seen it, heard it, or whatever, what are they going to do? They're going to come back at you maybe once, but with what information? You didn't say anything. You didn't give them anything to feed off of. And then if you keep doing them that way, eventually there's nothing left for them to add to it, especially if they've got nothing to show anyone that you've argued, that you've said. You've just let them sit there and be ridiculous. One of my previous caregivers was that she was sitting here and she's being an idiot. She screamed, cussed, whatever. She had been fired. So she follows my sister. The same day she was fired, she follows my sister to the grocery store to cause another scene. So I tell my sister, why didn't you just act like you'd never seen the woman before? You know, she's sitting there screaming all kinds of derogatory, mean things at you, and you're just ignoring her. No, don't just ignore her. Kind of look at her a little bit. Look around at other people like, do you know who this lady is?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's hard. I mean, it is hard. I think it's human nature to want to prove a point. Like, when you really believe in your heart that you're right about something or that you can disprove something, there has got to be a part of it. I think it takes a very strong, constitution, I guess, to really just not engage. It's hard, but it is definitely possible, and it's definitely the solution.
Right.
I'm like somebody who tries really hard to not react immediately. I like to take
you're very
24 hours to process and get the emotion out of the way. So Audie cracks me up because she'll always come to me when she's seeing or feeling something. She's like, I'm going to say this. And I'm like, Audie?
Yeah, I do. She's my screener.
Not.
I say, I have to say this right now because it's right what, comes to my brain. And I have to, and I know, like, I feel in the moment, I feel like it's important, but then thank God, at least I have the sense to be like, should I do this? And then she'll be like, no, it's really, don't do it. It's not worth it. Hey, Cotton,
how I enjoy it, I guess, whatever. Like if I see something that's really, really bothers me, I kind of enjoy the sitting there and not saying anything. And for me, the reason why I can sit there and not enjoy it, it's almost like watching the one that is being a jerk try to come up with the next thing they've got to say. If I don't give them anything, it's almost like watching them squirm and weasel and struggle and try to find what they're going to offer out next if I don't give them anything. And I will giggle at watching them struggle and turn and burn and try to come up with something next when there isn't anything there. And about 2 or 3 turns in, then it becomes even more fun because there's nothing there for them to grab hold of.
Sure. It's like what do you call it? It's like fishing. They're fishing for a response. Also, do you guys notice, and in the chat may be able to chime in on this, I'll drop the link again. And I was able to pin it, I think, if anybody wants to come up. But that also, like in the monetized channels, the nastier somebody gets on panel, like the more name calling, I notice this, not in everybody's, but in a lot of channels, like the more name calling, the more vicious, the more ferocious, you'll start seeing the Snapchats and the donations and stuff come in. So it's like, talk about really feeding the beast. I mean, I can imagine somebody like, I would say not me, but that becomes almost like an addiction in itself. Like you're addicted to the money coming in, you're addicted to the praise and the positive reinforcement that you're getting from these people that for whatever reason support that hatefulness, that it's just encouragement to keep it going.
Right.
Well, and I think some people act out trying to get those attacks so they can be the victim.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, sure. Oh, yes. There's definitely people that enjoy that. I don't know. I've never in my life that I can think of, and I'm sure somebody will correct me if I'm wrong, that I've ever enjoyed feeling like a victim. Like, like enjoyed it. You know what I mean? Like wanted to parade that and use it in my benefit. If anything, like I'd want to rise above that feeling of feeling victimized and like figuring out how I can turn that around from being a victim to maybe, in some cases a survivor or somebody that overcame something. But there's some people that just wallow in it and they love that. And I think it almost gives them an excuse then to do exactly what we were talking about, to just target people, name call, berate, shame, because they're a victim of X, Y, and Z. So then now I have a free pass to, treat people terribly.
Right. To me, feeling or the desire to feel like a victim is hard for me to figure out, because to me, a victim it comes from the same emotional pain of legit a broken arm or a busted up leg. You're hurt. You're the lower one on the totem pole. You're the weaker one now. So it still comes from that same area in the emotional brain of, if you're the victim, you're the weaker one. You're the low man on the totem pole. Feel sorry for me. I'm hurting right now. I just don't have any desire to feel that.
Yeah, I don't. I hate sympathy. I do not. Like, I detest it. I do not want to tell people things about me and get sympathy back. I don't know what it is, but I don't like attention anyway, but I don't tell people things for them to feel sorry for me ever. Like, I don't want to be seen that way.
Right. Well, I think because you're strong, some bitches. Y'all some strong hoes. Just saying that. I've always thought that both of y'all are some huge, strong people.
I mean, coming from like, I have definite, like, even like when we started this, when we discussed doing this live today, it wasn't to like, and I don't think anybody thinks this, but I'm just like, want to put it out there. It wasn't coming from a place of like being above it or being on a high horse, because I know for me, and I know Hope has not nearly, she's actually very respectful and kind to everybody. And I try to be too. I'm sure there's moments and times I've said things that were fresh and disgusting and that I never would mean. I'm sure I've done it. I can't think of anything off the top of my head, but I'm sure I have. And that's not the reason for us doing this, is not to be like, you know, what do they call it? Like the ponies, they're on their high horse or whatever. That's what it makes me think of. They embrace that term. So I'm not saying anything fresh, but the point is that I think we just need to talk about it. We need to talk about, like, do people realize when they are telling somebody that they're a fat bee or an ugly slob or, you know, making fun of their job or poking at their life circumstances, that yes, when you might be attacking that one individual, but anybody listening to you and the people that support you and those people in your chats and such, they are also hearing this. And those same things could apply to them. That may be what the hand that they were dealt or whatever. And like,
as you said that,
self-aware.
Let me add something to that, because I was thinking you were going a different route. I was thinking, if it were me and I were being handed a bucket load of insults like that, in my mind, I know those things are not true, so they don't hurt me coming from that person. Where the pain does come in for me, or would come in for me if that case were to happen, it would be the people that were sitting there watching and listening, not knowing the difference. What are their opinions now? They've heard the insult and they've seen the reaction of mine, but what do they think now? Do they think that I am these negative things that this individual has said? Do they believe that person? Are they on that person's side? It doesn't matter if they do or don't, but that's what that's what the one that is receiving the insults is going to think that is going on, because you know the insults don't mean anything or matter. And a lot of times the one hurling the insults is looking for nothing more than the audience hearing these things, the audience changing their mind, the audience being deterred away from that person.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, so, and I think, and you'll see the chat in certain live streams cheering it on, actively engaging in it. And sometimes I don't believe that they could know this other individual from Adam, and they're in there, you know, cheering it on and supporting it. Hey, Squishy.
Right. It's tough. I mean, I tell you guys, I got some armadillo skin. Very little that anyone could say to me would ever affect me. I mean, it just don't. You could tell me that I was the ugliest human being on this planet. I'm like, you might be kind of right. I don't know. Who cares? But it's not. In the end, it wouldn't matter if there were 10 people watching or 100 people watching. I know the truth of the matter. The person hurling the insults knows the truth of the matter. But these other people that are watching don't know any more about the argument between me and this other person. What are they now thinking? And it shouldn't matter, but in the end it would. In the end, as strong of an armor as I got on, or skin as I've got, that would still maybe not bother me much, but that would be what I would be thinking about. So I can imagine someone that is far more sensitive than I am.
Yes.
Wow, yes. That could be very painful.
Yes, there are vulnerable people. Yeah, you're right, Three Boy Mom. That's a great comment, because, and I think I had said this earlier, when there is like a debate or an argument, or somebody's trying to prove something on the internet, especially on the internet, right? Because that's where this happens. People aren't yelling at it. Well, I mean, I guess there are some people, but face to face kind of talking like this to one another. But it completely, in my opinion, makes your entire argument mute, because at that point, the slinging, the name calling, the shaming has taken everything that you were trying to prove and flushed it down the toilet, because you obviously do not have a well-based argument if you need to resort to the insulting and the degrading. That's my opinion of it.
Right. And let me tell y'all something. I ain't said it anywhere else, but Three Boy Mom, if she's in the chat's gonna be funny.
Oh yeah. She says the funniest things.
I don't know. I hate to hurl that insult out there, but three boy mom, you just take that right up your butt. You hear me?
She
You're
is,
the
yeah.
fun.
She is so clever. She should like write for, I don't know, sitcoms or something. She is so clever. She
And
comes
I
out
will-
with some goodies.
I will even admit, damn it, I hate this. I hate admitting it, but I will admit that there has been a few things that she has said, and I'm like, putting that in my little book of funny shit to use later. Oh my god.
Intercepting insults at every turn. She's a Power Ranger. That's amazing. your unitard could have an exclamation point on it.
I was just thinking, so I use Canva to do creations for like a clothing. I do the merch designs for this company that I run the website for, that kind of shit. And I was thinking, man, if I could just snatch up three boy mom and stick her in my head when I need a few really cute sayings, well, that would be great. I was just thinking that yesterday.
I know,
Oh,
she
man.
comes out with some goodies and I'm like, gosh, I wish I could think this up on the drop of a dime. Sometimes I'll like be engaged in a conversation or participating in something, and then like 5 hours later I'm like, oh man, that's what I should have said.
Right,
She's
right. The
really,
three
really
boy-
good.
Yeah, she just comes up with shit that, I mean, in the middle of a live stream, and it's like, dang,
Yes.
you come up with what? This ain't fair. This is so not fair that you're this cute and funny.
And I agree about the insults. That does show that they don't have anything to stand on. But it's amazing to me how many people don't think that way and who jump on board and cheer on these insults. Like, it just amazes me. I don't know. I wish we had like these communities on YouTube. I really wish there was a distinguishing factor to know what community I'm in. That'd be great. We need to start that. You could just
Right.
hashtag what community you're in when you make a video. I'd really
Yes.
appreciate that.
We talked about this the other day. Yeah. Like if there was a way to kind of navigate where you were going and what you were participating in, because I'm sure it's happened to all of us where like you jump on a live stream, maybe whatever the topic is at hand you're into, you want to hear about it, and then you're participating in a chat, and then it quickly snowballs into something else, and then you're like, oh boy, I shouldn't.
Yeah.
Now I kind of wish I wasn't here and
Where am I?
engaging in this. Yes, and you're like, oh, that's not what I came here for. And I guess that's kind of the nature of the beast when you're dealing with like unscripted commentary, right? Because all it takes is one comment. I mean, we've seen this one comment in a chat to totally derail an entire, live stream for
Yes.
whatever it may be about. You could be talking about, a tornado and it turned into something really crazy because, there's some people that can redirect very well, and there's other people that just, hold on to that one little comment that means nothing from a complete stranger and runs with it.
And it can be a creator with no sense of humor who reads
Absolutely. Yes.
a comment
Oh my
and
gosh.
chat wrong.
Reads it wrong. How many times have we talked about this? There's certain creators that do this, and this isn't like I'm not insulting, but what I'm saying is like so much is lost in text, right? Because we don't know tone, we don't know cadence, we don't know anything in text. So if something is read incorrectly, and then I read like Dutchie's comment out that says three boy, that is very true, and I read it out as three boy, that isn't very true, or some, you know what I mean? Like something like that, then it
Right.
turns into an entire shit show. And it's like, wait, we got to go back because that's not how that was intended. That definitely happens.
Or you put more harshness on the very, like if she
Yes.
goes, that's very true, and you're like, oh, you read this, that's very true.
Yep.
There's more intent to it, and then there's more of this, and then it goes
Yep.
and goes and grows and grows and gets bigger and bigger. And she's like, oh, that's not exactly what I meant by it in the beginning. But
Yeah.
by the time you come back around to it, it's already grown so big that it's almost impossible to find the true context to anything these days.
It really is. We become like a very text driven people. Like everything is in text. Like who gets on the phone anymore, right? Unless you have to. So I think that there's some, it's funny. Like I just seen the hashtag in chat, like community hoe is a good one. Panel whore is a good one. But the things that I think that apply to kind of just wanting to participate about, like, I love when I see free range sub, because you're not like a prisoner to any one chat, which that's a whole nother topic we could definitely do one day when we're doing more like social issues versus like true crime. Is like the free range sub. I love that. And then there's like somebody with the handle, the wandering sub. And I always, when I see them, I think like, oh, that's so clever, because you kind of just, you just go where you want to go, and you participate in what you want to participate in and choose to remove yourself when you don't. But it doesn't mean that you're freaking aligning yourself with anybody or loyal to any one person, or that you believe every single thing that comes out of one particular creator's mouth. I mean, it's ridiculous to think as adults that because you may agree with one thing that, let's just say, Audie says, doesn't necessarily mean you're going to agree with what I'm about to say in the next 3 minutes. Like, that is just such a freaking ridiculous way of thinking.
And that's gotten really bad recently, the whole...
Very bad.
Because there are creators who have mods that are screenshotting every chat.
Yep.
And taking it back to their creator, and then the creator will have a live where they will call out the people that were screenshotted in another chat.
Yeah, that's wild. Could you imagine?
Yeah. I still be hating on them screenshots. I may have been my hand be forced to share one or two screenshots over the last couple of years. I hate that shit, y'all, with a passion.
Yeah.
You know what I hate too?
I guess the worst that ever gotten me was, instead of sharing a screenshot on a panel, the worst I've done is read one off on a panel. And I hated that. I hated having to do that so much. To me, there's something just different if it's a private chat between people.
Yes, thank you. That's exactly what I was just going to say. There is a huge difference when you are somebody taking, to prove a point, and you're using screenshots from somebody's private convo. So I'm talking like it could be 2 people, it could be 5 people in a private conversation, and I'm using YouTube specifically, not on YouTube, not in a live stream chat, not under a video, nowhere for the public to see. When you have friends or maybe acquaintances engaging in a conversation that then is screenshot and shared because somebody gets upset, you cannot compare what is said in those private conversations. I am sorry, this is my belief, this is Audie's belief, that you cannot compare that to what somebody does on YouTube or in the public eye or what they're putting out there for the world to see. They cannot be compared, and they're really how more people don't call that out, that specifically. Like, we don't care. I don't care if Hope says to Heather tomorrow in a private conversation because she's upset with me that I'm acting like a bitch, or that I was being a snob, or that I was being cocky, or that I talk too much. I don't care, because you know what? I'll talk to her about it. We'll work it out. But who would care about that conversation between Hope and Heather? Nobody. Why would you guys care about that? That's like the point of these stupid screenshots that mean nothing.
By that time, if it is shared amongst the masses that don't give a shit about it, don't care, don't know about it, then it just leaves nothing more than for them to go and take it and make something it's never was, never happened, or was going to be. It's something that was just absolutely changed.
Yep. It's used, again, just kind of like CPS being weaponized. It's like screenshots being weaponized. I mean, certainly not to the same degree, but it's definitely very similar. Like, it's like, wait a second. 3-boy mom coming in clutch. I hate seeing community posts that call out subs. It's like if Walmart posted customers' pics just because they went to the Food Lion one day. It's so true. That is perfect. Yes. It's like, oh, Autumn's wearing her Adidas, not her Nikes. Let's tweet Nike and tell them.
3-boy, you got to quit while I'm up here. Good shit.
That needs to be on like on a Tumblr or something. Sure, we need that to be made into a thumbnail or something and just put it up every day.
Disclaimer.
At this point, I'm in the middle of making Dutch a free range pick because, well, that's what I'm.
Aw, I love it. You're so good at
No,
that.
No, it's going to be funny. I promise. It's going to be funny.
She's good with her
Yes,
names.
Three Boy Mom, that's so true. Like we all
What's that? I'll pin
get
it now that I know.
upset and say things to our friends that we never intend to go public, and we're
Yep.
probably over it 10 minutes after we say it.
Yes. And then, and like, who knows if those people being discussed in the like screenshot, let's say, for example, like if it's about those people could have long discussed it, made up and talked about it. And now you're just rehashing and reopening old wounds that have healed over that don't, are not affecting anybody's life. Now you're
Right.
affecting people's lives by putting this out. So I don't know how people can't distinguish the difference, but that is like really, come on, guys. This is like common sense stuff. Oh, yeah. How's everybody's
Yeah.
weather? How's your weather, Hope?
Hot.
Hot? Is it raining or
Yep.
sunny? Oh, yes. You guys are sunny and hot. That's right.
Mm-hmm.
What about you, Heather, in
Yeah,
Texas,
It is.
Oklahoma?
it is crusting over down here. Let me tell you,
Crusting over.
Crusting
it's
over.
everything.
That's funny.
it is
Like when the
disgusting.
lava turns to rock. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, it ain't turned to rock just yet, but it better hurry up and start.
Oh, it's not so bad here today. It's not as nearly as humid. It's warm out, but it's not uncomfortable, and it looks like we're about to get dumped on. It's like got very overcast. I was gonna go to the beach today. I'm glad we didn't because we would have been scrambling to get off.
Y'all know what sublimation is?
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, so I do sublimation now, and what I'm looking for is that chicken's head that's got the bandana on, where it's looking at you. You go question, so I can put underneath it hashtag free range sub
Free range.
for old Dutchie over there. I'm looking for that.
Oh, that's so cute.
It's gonna be cute, but I can't find that daggone chicken head.
You know,
I'm
it's going to
looking.
be interesting that at some point the legal system is going to catch up with social media, and
Sure
it's
is.
not anywhere near there yet, but I was kind of looking at some things online, and it's going to be interesting because it's a very fine line between censorship and making laws to protect people, because there's just a very fine line between how involved do we want the legal process to be in our social media, because we don't want to lose
topic.
our
Yes.
freedom of
Freedom of
speech.
speech.
But
Yes.
I'm jealous,
This is
Three
a
Boy Mom.
This is a great topic, Hope. We should definitely cover this because if we look back on what happened, I'm not sure how many years ago. I don't know who follows H3H3. They're like a podcast on YouTube. It's a huge channel, millions and millions of people. But they, I don't want to say, I'm gonna say maybe 8 years back. It could be a little bit longer. They were in a legal battle, really about this, about what can be said on YouTube and what can't, and what they were being sued for. And it was civil. It wasn't legal. It wasn't criminal or anything. It was civil. And they won, and that was like a big thing because it had to do with protecting freedom of speech and fair use. It was a big thing regarding fair use, and it's a very interesting topic. And I remember us discussing this, and I can't remember specifically why though, about the legal system hasn't caught up with like the digital age yet, and what's done digitally, and the internet is ever changing. And it's hard for the legal system to catch up with that. But yes, where do you draw the line? And again, right back to boundaries, like about people's, I think specifically, which you would think is obvious, but is people's protected information, right?
Yes.
Home
And I
addresses, things like that.
One of the things that needs to be addressed is that most social media platforms don't enforce user identity. So, that's where you get all these troll accounts, multiple accounts. And should it be a thing where you have to confirm your identity before you create an account? And how much resources that would take for that to be done,
Sure.
and does it cross into your freedom of speech, and how would you legally enforce it? Just a lot of things like that come into it.
Yeah, and I think there's like, in my mind, like, or my opinion about it is like, there is I think there's circumstances where it's super. Sorry, go away. Okay. Okay, hold on. I'll be with you in 1 second. That there's certain circumstances where, like, let's say, like, for example, I'll use like Roblox, like a game that's played on the internet by children, where I feel like it's appropriate to screen somehow. I don't know the solution, but somehow figure out who's in there, or how to manage like the age. Like, okay, this area is for kids up to 12, where the next area is for teenagers, and then there's adult areas, like how to manage that.
Mhm.
But where that is super appropriate. But then you have a place like here where maybe people create stock accounts because they're either afraid, intimidated, or they just don't want to be, because maybe they stupidly came to YouTube or something with their full name. You know what I mean? And now they want to be able to chat and say what's on their minds. Like, how do you differentiate? And I think that's going to be a very tricky thing to navigate.
Right.
Definitely. Yeah, we'll have to talk about that.
Oh, Lana, that's really interesting. If you ever want to talk with us, like, I don't know if you feel comfortable doing a panel or just talking to us in private, and then we can talk about it. Because I didn't realize that you guys don't have freedom of speech.
Oh.
It's illegal to vape without a doctor's prescription. Interesting. So you can't go into like a corner store and buy like vaping stuff. Is marijuana legal? Either medicinally or recreationally?
Well, I
I
want
think
to
it
hop
takes
down.
freedom. Okay, I'm sorry.
Oh, no, y'all are good. I want to hop down. I'll be in the chat.
Thanks,
Okay.
Heather.
Thank you so
I'll
much
be-
for
I'll be
coming up,
around.
Heather. It was so good chatting with you.
Oh,
Yeah.
you too, Dave. I'm always in the chat.
Thank you. So yeah, I think in some of the like things that the legal system is looking at is holding the social media companies
The platforms
liable
and stuff.
for things
Okay.
that happen on their platforms.
How do you feel about that? Do you think they should be? Like, do you think YouTube should be accountable for, let's say, doxing? Like legitimate doxing. I'm not talking about like the stuff people call doxing.
Yeah.
I'm talking about exposing people's names, addresses, workplaces, things like that.
I think as of now, YouTube does a terrible job of regulating their platform. I think there's some major steps that need to be taken, and if holding them legally responsible is going to kick their butts into gear, where they actually, because you and I both know there are channels that people mass report for really serious things and nothing happens.
Yes. Yes.
That's why when someone's channel got taken down, you and I were both like, that's not mass reporting, because
Absolutely.
it
Absolutely.
doesn't happen that way.
And Bartender did remember she did that very interesting, hi identified rocker, welcome. Did a very interesting coverage I think it was about a year ago, about somebody that was like a registered sex offender,
Yeah.
Utilizing the platform. So like, that's a good example of like when the subs or the people that participate in YouTube are chiming in. I'm sure there was a ton of reporting going on, but I don't know where this stands today, but at the time that was ineffective. Like, that was not
Yes.
working. Like, YouTube was not recognizing it. And I'm certain, we watched, do you remember that specific video I sent you of a creator and his partner, and they were kind of like role playing? I don't want to get into too many details, but they did put it on YouTube, and it was very
Disturbing.
disturbing, but like it involved like if anybody knows what like little space is, and I'm not kink shaming by any means, but I don't think little space is a kink. I think that's meant to be like a mental health more thing for people with DID and stuff. But anyway, this was turned into a kink. And it was, that person was not like taken off of YouTube. They took their own stuff down because they didn't get the, based on my research, they weren't getting the feedback or the support they thought they would get. I don't know.
Yeah.
But like, that was really something that, I don't know. Like, there's just some things that go too far.
Yeah. And YouTube has to be pulling in the money. And, all of this artificial intelligence monitoring, I think it needs to be real people, real time.
I agree.
AI does not catch
real time
things.
That's perfect.
And it would cut down on so much of the inappropriate actions. Yes. I agree, unidentified rocker.
I do too. The money from all sorts of abuse. I mean, you're right. I just actually made a comment, not even putting two and two together myself when I said it out loud, about creators. Now, remember what happens, guys, when a creator is collecting, let's say something like super chats, super stickers, memberships, YouTube or Google themselves is getting a very big cut of that. So when kind of going back to what we were saying earlier, when you have a creator on a panel shaming people, shaming someone, like really, really, purposely trying to hurt somebody, and the super chats are rolling in and the memberships are going up, there is money to be made by Google's making a lot of money off of that. Maybe they won't make as much off AdSense, but let me tell you something, that actual cash being handed over, they're collecting a huge portion of that. So that's very appropriate. They do make money from all sorts of abuse. Yes.
And I think that, some of these huge YouTubers that are making a lot of money, nothing like anything around our area,
yes.
Get away with a lot more than the smaller creators. Because there is some things, there are some of those big creators that were doing some really bad things, and it took a long time to get them taken down, and they were making YouTube a lot of money. And that's really sad.
And that's like, I guess, there's a lot of backdoor stuff and a lot of, there was, and the culture's changed, right? So like maybe what was acceptable 10 years ago on a public platform, isn't acceptable now. And that's okay. That's evolution, right? People change, ideas change, thought processes change. And when somebody, recognizes that, but like there's things that happen every day on here that is, oof. I mean, even a creator, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, like, even with like something that's happening in the news, right? That's like a world event or something. And you have a creator kind of restreaming or reshowing that unedited, and maybe to the, like, I forget exactly, I'm thinking of something specific in my mind, but it was something involving self-harm. Okay. And that's not redacted, meaning like the act of self-harm is not being modified in any way, and they're showing it like on a live stream. Like there has to be that, that shouldn't be. I'm sorry, if people want to see that, they can tune into, I don't even think the news would show that, but like it just shouldn't be.
Yeah. And I honestly, the whole, going to Twitter is more effective with YouTube, which makes no sense. And my honest opinion in that is, when you go to Twitter and you make this public tweet about a situation on YouTube, people can see that. People are able to see that there's a problem, and then they're able to see YouTube's response to it. And I think that's why they're more responsive there, is because the public is seeing the complaint and their response.
It's not done like in an email where it's just between the two people. Everybody on the platforms can see it. I did that, with Walgreens. I was having an issue with Walgreens. It was something like kind of silly, but it was an issue, and it was significant enough that I wasn't getting anywhere with like the local store management. I called Walgreens. I tweeted them, and they got back to me. and they let me explain like what had happened. They asked me information on the particular store. It had to do with like mismanagement of medication. It wasn't like something, I'm not a Karen. It wasn't like something silly.
Right.
And, you know, and it got addressed so much quicker in that one silly tweet that I put out than all the phone calls going physically to 2 different stores, like local stores. Like it was wild. So I think definitely, has
and
to
the
do
things happening on YouTube, you know, it's not just YouTube. There's, you know, we're studying some stuff we're doing with Gen X on a different social media platform. It's outrageous what is allowed and
yes,
how the legal system has not caught up. And it's a problem.
So are these platforms, and I'm asking this as a question, considered like are we okay, baby, are we responsible for policing our own platforms? Is that the intent? Like YouTube wants us, like as the consumers, to police? Same thing with TikTok, because I feel like TikTok, they do, and I don't know if it's AI. I'm assuming to a certain degree, but like there's plenty of times I've had TikToks like pulled for review that are very innocent, but I could see where maybe there's sometimes like a little bit of a misconception or somebody report whatever silly stuff. But I feel like that it goes on more over there for some reason. Like they do a little bit of a better job at it. I don't know if it's because they have an actual team monitoring it versus YouTube. I would think Twitter, Facebook has completely changed as far as what's allowed there. But is it because we are responsible as the consumer to be reporting what's happening? Because that doesn't seem to get anywhere. Like that's not effective at all.
It doesn't. Yeah, it really doesn't. You know, it kills me that somebody can start off their stream playing a song and their whole video will get shut down immediately because of AI. And somebody else can go on their stream, show a child's picture, their address, their phone number, have 100 people report it and nothing is done. To me, I mean, something's wrong there.
Yes, that's a perfect example. Perfect example. Whereas the music or a news clip or something will trigger the AI, but then you have people, like you said, actively showing horrible stuff, private conversation. Well, even private conversations, okay, fine. But like you said, the pictures, addresses, people's employment information, and for some reason, you cannot get these things dealt with.
And I think I may be wrong because I'm not a big Twitch user, but I think that I don't think Twitch does AI. I think that they have actual real-time reviewers. Y'all please correct me if I'm wrong with that, but because I know that they're a little bit more strict on Twitch and things do get taken down quicker.
Yes, I've heard that they're much stricter about even their even the like the making of money. Am I saying it right? Like the raising of money, like for example, like flashing cash apps and PayPals. Now, technically, my understanding, and I'm not saying I'm for or against it, Venmos, things like that, that's against terms of service because remember, YouTube wants their cut. And when you're taking direct donations like that, YouTube's not getting their cut. So like I can understand why that would be included in their TOS. To me, that should be the least of their problems. Like that is the least of their problems. So Unidentified Rocker said that, you know, there's currently YouTube's being taken to court left and right, hence why they're constantly tightening their TOS. And that Twitch seems much better at managing their platform. I haven't really looked at Twitch. I think I downloaded it a while back because when I was really into like more the beauty community and like reviewing makeup products and things like that and beauty products, I was going to attempt to do it on Twitch, but I just never did. And I never really went back in there after that, but I should probably.
I think because they were like made to be a gaming platform. So it was kind of aimed more towards the younger, you know, towards teens and 20s age people that they kind of started out with a stricter guidelines because you were having younger people in there.
That makes sense.
But my kids watch YouTube. I mean, they're teenagers, but they watch YouTube all the time, watching
Both of my kids. Yes.
people playing Minecraft, whatever. Yep. And now that I see what goes on YouTube, that's scary to me. And
yes, my kids both same thing. Now, the little one tends to watch more of the some YouTube. I have premium, so there are certain things that, like, so for example, like I don't know how they get away with this. I don't know if it's because it's the network. I'm not quite sure, but like, let's say like Peppa Pig or a cartoon. It could be Thomas the Train in particular. Like she can watch episodes on YouTube like commercial free because I have premium. Whereas I don't have to get like Nick Jr. and all that other stuff. I'm not sure, like they must be some sort of agreement between those networks. Otherwise they wouldn't be able to do that. And sometimes they're not full episodes, they're clips, but whatever. It's perfect for somebody with a short attention span. But what she also watches is a lot of these kids channels. Let's just say technically a channel that obviously the parents are running it or whatever, but it's children. So one of them is called Come Play With Me, which is specifically like Barbie dolls, right? And these two little girls playing with their Barbie dolls, and it's all Frozen themed, so Elsa and Anna, and then they use the toddlers as their children and whatever.
Yeah, it's my Annie toy.
Yes, it's your Elsa toy. But
Ho got me the toy.
Ho got her the Elsa toy. That's it. She calls him Ho.
Ho got me Annie toy.
Yeah. So, but here's an interesting thing. So she'll watch those, and it'll play, and sometimes like if I'm distracted, it'll kick into another video that will kick into another video, and before I know it, I looked up at the screen and it was the same toy, right? Elsa. In real life, by the way, this isn't animated, and this isn't like terrible, but it is bizarre. It was a person modifying the Elsa doll with like clay and like making like
my Annie toy.
Yes, like making larger features. You see what I'm saying? Like bigger tatas and making like a pregnant belly like out of clay. Like it wasn't like, oh my gosh, bad, but it was bizarre and it was kind of creepy. And they were doing it to other dolls and like accentuating body parts. Yeah. So like you have to be careful. I mean, I know we're kind of segueing into something else here, but just kind of show like when your kids are watching this stuff, like I trust my son at this point to be responsible because it's just a relationship we have. And, we all parent differently, but he knows what he can and cannot watch and what channels he kind of sticks to and such. But for her, it's just kind of automatically, it's on autoplay, it's just going into the next thing. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is so creepy. And let me tell you, with the Minecraft stuff, when my guy was little, I will never forget this. Did your kids have the Nintendo 3DS?
Yes.
So I think the newer version, when it came out, you could stream on it. Like you could use it to like watch YouTube and stuff. And I will never forget, he was like, I think it was that, or maybe it was a Kindle, but whatever it was, he was laying in bed and he was watching it. And thank God he had fallen asleep. And he was watching the same thing. Kids play with like Minecraft, and it turned into, when I went and picked it up, it was like adult themed Minecraft movies. Like they were the same Minecraft people, like the same, like looked like everything else, but they were doing, triple X stuff with the Minecraft characters. I was like, oh my gosh, this is like, I'm like screaming I'm going through the history to see like, was he watching this? Like, was this like something he was watching? I just wasn't paying attention all night. Like, oh my gosh, thank God. Like he's, even to this day, now he's older. And I mean, I wouldn't describe it that way, but I do remember asking him like, did you see like the guys from Minecraft doing like naughty things you didn't understand? Like it was so bad. It was so gross, but like it can happen that easily. But that's a perfect example of why it's allowed. I mean, that's a kid's thing. I'm sorry, Minecraft is for kids. Adults can play it, but you know what? Adults don't need to be watching that either. You're really sexualizing something that's intended for children, and that's just not right.
Yeah. Well, if you think about what we've seen on YouTube between adults, now how, gosh, even middle school kids and teenagers they can be so incredibly cruel. if adults are acting this way on YouTube, I can only imagine how teenagers would act.
You're right. You're right. And I would never even, I didn't even think about like, imagine like a middle schooler doing a panel and like other middle schoolers in it to like taunt and harass like another kid in school. Like I could see that happening because that's just unfortunately the world we live in. And that is a really great example. Like, yeah, that is terrible. You're right.
Because, as adults, we should know better than to drive people to the point of breaking point. But yeah, kids, teenagers, they don't, and they are really mean to each other, like in real life. So you get them behind the anonymity of YouTube. That could be disastrous.
It could be. I mean, we've seen Adults Hope come to YouTube and threaten self-harm and blame it. And I'm not saying this is right, wrong, or indifferent. I have my own opinions about that. But, saying that they're pushed to feeling this way because of things that happen on this platform. So like you said, as far as like involving children, yeah, it's a recipe for disaster. Oh, we're sorry, Trishy. I was off today. So we did a daytime one. Normally we do the weekends, but we had some other things going on this weekend. There was a lot of distraction.
A lot of stuff.
Yes. Well, anybody, before we wrap it up, are you good, Hope? Does anybody want to come up on panel, talk about anything else? Because I got to get this little one down.
No, I'm good. I think that
You're good?
we can definitely talk about the legal stuff and, legal catching up with social media and stuff. That can definitely be a discussion for
That's a great topic for us to cover. And I think it's definitely something that people should be, I want to be educated on it. I'm sure other people would like to know like where we're at with that. So happy Tuesday, everybody. Enjoy your tacos.
Ending thoughts.
Yes.
Before you say something, even if you are pissed off royally, think about who you're affecting when you say it, because it's not just the person you're saying it to. Golden rule, people.
Yep, well said. Just remember, when you're using your platform, when you're using your channel as a platform and as a creator, exactly what Hope said, when you're targeting one person, this is not a private conversation between two people. You're hosting a panel where people from all different walks of life, all different circumstances, people that support you are in your chat. And when you're saying hurtful things, just remember there is a trickle-down effect. And, I'm sure most of us don't want to be hurtful, terrible people. There are a few that I think enjoy it, but I think the majority don't. So, well, thank you everybody for coming. Yes, have a fabulous Tuesday, and we'll see y'all again real soon. Bye.
Bye.